exploring the tapestry of American history. Before European contact, North America was a mosaic of diverse indigenous cultures, each with its distinct social structures, spiritual beliefs, and survival strategies. These tribes lived in harmony with the environment, developing complex systems of governance and trade that spanned the continent from the dense forests of the east to the vast deserts of the west. The arrival of Christopher Columbus in 1492 marked the beginning of European exploration in the New World. This event set the stage for numerous voyages by other European powers, eager to exploit the newfound land's resources. The contact introduced new technologies and materials, but also diseases that devastated indigenous populations. In 1607, the English established Jamestown, Virginia, the first permanent British colony in North America. The settlement faced severe hardships, from famine and disease to conflicts with local Native American tribes. Despite these challenges, it eventually grew, supported by the cultivation of tobacco as a cash crop, which ensured its economic survival. As European settlers spread across the continent, their arrival had profound impacts on Native American tribes. The Europeans' relentless push for land led to displacement, cultural erosion, and conflicts that often turned violent. Traditional ways of life were irreversibly altered as tribes negotiated their survival amid the growing European presence. The development of the 13 colonies in the 17th century laid the foundations for modern America. These colonies, each with distinct economic, social, and political structures, formed under the auspices of different British charters. Life in these colonies was characterized by a mix of hardship, community cooperation, and gradual growth, setting the stage for future rebellion and independence. The Atlantic slave trade profoundly shaped colonial America, introducing a brutal system of slavery that underpinned the economy, particularly in the southern colonies. African slaves were forcibly brought to America and subjected to harsh conditions, where their labor became central to agricultural and economic development. Enlightenment ideas crossed the Atlantic, deeply influencing American intellectual life. Figures like Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson absorbed these principles, which emphasized reason, science, and liberty. This intellectual movement sowed seeds of revolution, questioning traditional authority and paving the way for democratic ideals in the New World. The French and Indian War, a conflict between British and French forces in North America, had significant repercussions for the colonies. The British victory expanded their territorial claims, but also imposed heavy debts. To recoup these costs, Britain imposed taxes on the colonies, fueling resentment and setting the stage for rebellion. The American Revolution ignited in 1775, when colonial frustrations over British governance reached a boiling point. The battles of Lexington and Concord marked the start of open warfare. Colonial desire for independence grew as oppressive taxation and lack of representation in Parliament incited calls for rebellion against British rule. Key battles of the American Revolutionary War, such as those at Saratoga and Yorktown, were crucial to the American victory. These victories boosted morale and secured crucial French support, which was vital for the success of the American forces. The war ultimately concluded with the signing of the Treaty of Paris in 1783, recognizing American independence. The Declaration of Independence, drafted in 1776, marked a pivotal moment in American history. This document articulated the colony's reasons for seeking independence from British rule, emphasizing the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which laid the foundation for American democratic principles. Post-independence, the newly formed United States faced governance challenges under the Articles of Confederation. This initial framework proved inadequate, lacking the necessary authority to regulate commerce or maintain a standing army, leading to widespread recognition of the need for a stronger federal government. The U.S. Constitution, created in 1787, emerged as a profound response to these challenges. It established a system of checks and balances through its 3 branches of government and included mechanisms for amendment, ensuring the document could evolve with the nation. The Federalist Papers, penned by Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay, played a crucial role in shaping public opinion about the new Constitution. These essays eloquently argued for the ratification of the Constitution, addressing concerns about federal power and outlining the benefits of the proposed system. George Washington's presidency set many precedents for the new government. His leadership helped establish the credibility of the presidency and the federal government. Washington's decisions, from forming a cabinet to establishing a national bank, helped lay the groundwork for the future administrative state. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 dramatically expanded the United States, doubling its size with the acquisition of 828,000 square miles from France. This pivotal moment paved the way for westward expansion, embodying the young nation's manifest destiny to spread across the continent and significantly boosting its agricultural and economic prospects. The War of 1812, often dubbed America's Second War of Independence, was crucial in solidifying American nationalism. Despite mixed military outcomes, the war fostered a strong sense of unity and independence among the American people. It also ended any significant British influence on the native tribes, allowing further American expansion. Andrew Jackson's presidency marked the rise of the common man in American politics. His leadership style and policies, including the controversial Indian Removal Act, significantly shaped the Democratic Party and American politics. Jackson's era was characterized by a fierce advocacy for the expansion and democratization of the United States. The Industrial Revolution transformed American society, transitioning it from agrarian-based to industrial. Innovations in technology and infrastructure, such as the steam engine and railroads, revolutionized transportation and industry. This era not only propelled economic growth, but also led to significant societal changes and the rise of urban centers. The issue of slavery became increasingly contentious as the nation expanded. The moral and economic divides between the North and South deepened, propelled by differing economic interests and social ideologies. As new territories were acquired, intense debates erupted over whether they should be admitted as free or slave states, setting the stage for severe national conflict. Manifest Destiny embodied the belief that the United States was destined to expand across the North American continent, a conviction that fueled westward expansion in the 19th century. This ideology justified the displacement of Native American tribes and the annexation of vast territories, reshaping the nation's landscape and its demographic makeup. The Mexican-American War marked a pivotal moment in American history, resulting from disputes over territorial claims following the U.S. annexation of Texas. The war concluded with the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848, which ceded significant territories including California and New Mexico to the United States, dramatically altering its geographic boundaries. The California Gold Rush of 1849 triggered a massive migration westward, as thousands of prospectors, entrepreneurs, and adventurers flocked to the Sierra Nevada foothills in search of fortune. This gold rush not only spurred economic growth, but also led to California's rapid accession as a state in 1850. The abolitionist movement gained momentum in the mid-19th century, advocating vehemently for the cessation of slavery. Figures like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman championed the cause, which played a critical role in stoking the fires of division between the North and South, setting the stage for the Civil War. The election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860 was seen as a threat by the Southern states, precipitating their decision to secede from the Union. This act of defiance led directly to the outbreak of the Civil War, fundamentally challenging the very existence of the United States as a unified nation. The Civil War, raging from 1861 to 1865, was a pivotal moment in American history. Key battles like Gettysburg and Antietam not only shaped the outcome of the war, but also defined the nation's character. The struggle was not just for territory, but for the soul of America itself, determining whether the United States would remain united and free from slavery. The Emancipation Proclamation, issued by President Abraham Lincoln in 1863, marked a turning point in the war, declaring all slaves in Confederate-held territory to be forever free. This bold move added a moral imperative to the Union's war effort and paved the way for the abolition of slavery nationwide. Post-Civil War, the Reconstruction era faced the immense challenge of reintegrating Southern states and rebuilding the Southern economy, while also attempting to secure the rights of newly freed slaves. It was a tumultuous time, marked by significant political strife and social tension, laying the groundwork for future civil rights movements. The rise of industrial magnates during the Gilded Age reshaped the American economy and society. Figures like Carnegie, Rockefeller, and Vanderbilt became synonymous with both vast wealth and the stark inequalities it created. This period highlighted the growing divide between the rich and the poor, setting the stage for progressive reforms. The Spanish-American War in 1898 marked America's emergence as a global power, acquiring territories like Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. This brief conflict underscored the nation's expanding ambitions and foreshadowed its growing influence on the world stage, signaling the dawn of American imperialism. The Progressive Era marked a time of sweeping reforms aimed at tackling the profound social, political, and economic inequalities of the early 20th century. This period saw the rise of labor rights, women's suffrage, and regulatory measures designed to curb corporate power, all fostering a more equitable societal structure. During World War I, the United States initially maintained neutrality, but by 1917, unrestricted submarine warfare by Germany prompted U.S. involvement. This engagement on the global stage not only shaped international relations, but also spurred significant technological and industrial growth back home, positioning America as a burgeoning global power. The Great Depression, beginning with the stock market crash of 1929, plunged millions into economic hardship. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal policies introduced extensive government programs aimed at recovery, reforming the financial system, and providing relief and jobs to the suffering American populace, reshaping the government's role in daily life. World War II saw the United States emerge from isolationism after the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. As American forces engaged globally, the home front experienced a massive mobilization of industry and manpower, contributing to Allied victory and subsequently establishing the U.S. as a dominant world leader. The Cold War era positioned the United States as a global superpower in a tense standoff with the Soviet Union. This period was characterized by nuclear arms races, space competition, and proxy wars, deeply influencing American domestic policies and international relations, shaping the geopolitical landscape of the second half of the 20th century. The civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s marked a profound period in American history. Key figures like Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks stood at the forefront, advocating for equality and justice. This era was characterized by major protests and landmark legislation, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which aimed to end racial discrimination. The Vietnam War deeply affected American politics and culture, creating a divide among its citizens. Widespread protests against the war exemplified growing disillusionment with government policies. The conflict not only influenced the lives of those directly involved, but also had lasting impacts on American foreign policy and public perception of military engagement. The Watergate scandal led to President Richard Nixon's resignation in 1974, shaking the nation's trust in its leaders. The scandal exposed various illegal activities and cover-ups at the highest levels of government, leading to increased demands for transparency and reforms in political processes to prevent future abuses of power. The technological revolution transformed society into a digital landscape, revolutionizing communication, business, and daily life. Innovations such as the internet, personal computers, and mobile technology reshaped interactions and created new industries, making information more accessible and fostering a new era of globalization. Entering the 21st century, the United States faced significant challenges like the War on Terror and the 2008 financial crisis. These events tested the resilience of its political and economic systems, prompting widespread policy changes and debates about national security, economic stability, and the role of government in safeguarding citizens' futures.